Hi, I'm Michelle Stirling for Friends of Science Society, and I'm standing here on Princess Island Park the day before Canada Day 2019, right beside the Island of Creativity. This plaque commemorates the fact that the City of Calgary wanted to build here an opera gallery, or an opera hall, a dance hall, gallery, to make it into a beautiful creative culture island. But somehow the engineers and the city planners realized, wait a minute, this is a place that floods almost every year. And maybe we shouldn't do that because all those things would be wasted and damaged. So they left it as a public park with a few kind of light pop-up type of events and facilities here. And people love it. It's a beautiful place to come. I'm telling you this because Dr. Catherine Hayhoe is always talking about the flood of Calgary and how this was supposedly caused by climate change and not by natural factors, when in fact it was caused by natural factors. And in fact, by 1933, Calgary already had 8 of the worst floods in our history. So 2 of those floods had bigger flows than the one from 2013. So, you know, when Catherine McKenna is relying on Dr. Catherine Hayhoe for her information, and both of them are screaming that there's some kind of catastrophe happening out there because of man-made climate change, that's just ridiculous. In fact, most of the changes that we see in the world are due to natural factors like the sun, changes in solar cycles, in natural variation within the earth like ocean cycles, atmospheric oscillations, and the interaction between all of these different things, because it's a very dynamic environment. There's not just like one thing that makes the climate change. And when one thing changes, it affects many different things. In fact, Dr. Judith Curry calls it the messy, wicked, very complex problem to solve. And there's no one simple answer. Although we do like to say that the sun is the main driver because it's one of the biggest factors and it affects all the others. But it's certainly not the only one. But CO2 is a nominal factor. Now, you may wonder, why don't I ever hear this from the IPCC? Why don't I ever hear about the sun? How come they keep saying it's not the sun? Well, there's a few factors. The IPCC is dedicated to looking at human causation. That's why they were formed. They weren't dedicated to looking at all causation. Another factor is that they have very few solar physicists on their panel. So one year they had one solar physicist who cited her own paper.
It's fucking weird.
So, you know, that's certainly not research as we know it. And so you have to understand that there's a whole body of research that's also being locked out because many people in the media have been indoctrinated to believe there's a 97% consensus about what causes climate change. Some have been indoctrinated because they've gone to special courses to teach them that, and some have been told so by their institutional investors. In Canada, NEI Investments told Rogers Media, which is a very influential body, that they should toe the line on the Ecofiscal Commission's view on climate and on carbon taxes, and they should follow the Paris Agreement. So if you have Maclean's magazine and Chatelaine magazine, both of them pushing the Ecofiscal Canada view of climate change solutions, that being a carbon tax, how are we going to have an open civil debate in Canada on these very important issues? So I hope you'll think twice when you hear people tell you that extreme weather events are caused by humans. Even in very important documents like the IPCC's special report on extreme weather, they find very little evidence to support the claim that extreme weather conditions are caused either by human influence on climate or by CO2. And actually right now, we've experienced a number of years, 3 years I believe it is now, of cooling. So we're 0.5 degrees Celsius cooler in the past 3 years, which is actually a very dramatic drop. But we'll have to wait a bit longer to know how accurate that is because these measurements are very sketchy. For Friends of Science Society at Princess Island Park in Calgary, I'm Michelle Stirling.